Teen violence is a major issue ABC 15 is staying on top of for you. We're continuing to push for answers related to the death of 16-year-old Preston Lord.
Life doesn't just test you. It comes for your soul. It hits you where it hurts the most. And when you think you've seen it all, that's when it comes harder. People will betray you. Life will throw punches you never saw coming. This year, it was the fight of my life. A business partner, someone I trusted, embroiled in drug and murder allegations. And then a team member, someone I thought had my back, steals $50,000 from our company. But when she's caught, she does the unthinkable. Instead of owning her mistakes, she trades every last shred of integrity to try and destroy my credibility. Never in a million years did I think I'd be dragged into something so dark, something so twisted, accused of being tied to the murder of an innocent teenager. Me, someone who spent their entire life fighting for kids, empowering them to become the best version of themselves. My life's work has been dedicated to building leaders, to teaching the next generation how to stand tall. And in a moment, just like that, I'm accused of everything I've fought against. It was like watching an avalanche in slow motion, and I was stuck, unable to move at the bottom of the mountain. The test didn't stop there. What started as a fun family party turned into a nightmare. In an instant, my 9-year-old boy is rushed to the hospital after a fire pit malfunction. Second-degree burns, 2 surgeries, and a 2-week hospital stay. Watching your child suffer like that, that's a pain you can't put into words. And just when I thought I couldn't take it anymore, life hit me again. A reminder of how fragile it all is. I get the call. My dad is in the hospital after suffering a series of mini strokes. I'm scrambling, trying to get to him. And just as I board the plane, my phone buzzes. They couldn't save him. Here's the problem. Too many people give up when pain hits. The moment life gets hard, they stop. The pressure feels too much, like it's impossible to push through. But listen, life will knock you down. It is going to put you in situations that feel impossible to survive. But it's in those moments, when you're at your lowest, that your fight is tested. Here's what you need to understand. Defeat is part of the formula for victory. You are not defined by what happens to you. You are defined by how you respond to what happens to you. Those trials aren't meant to break you. They're meant to make you. The suffering, the pain, the setbacks, they are all preparing you for something greater. It is in those moments of darkness where you build your resolve, where you develop a mindset so strong, nothing can shake it. That is what winners do. They take the hits, they feel the pain, they turn the pain into fuel. They embrace the trials. Do not let the struggle be the end of your story. Let it be the first chapter to forge the new version of you. One where you rise, rebuild, and move forward with the clarity and strength that could have only been molded in the hottest of fires. I've faced the fire. I've lived in the darkness. And despite the loss, despite the pain, despite the failures, despite the haters, despite the circumstances, the controversy, the setbacks, the trials and the tribulations, despite your opinion of me, I am still here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. You guys don't know my presentation could suck, and you already gave me a standing ovation. So I like how this is starting. I'm still here, and guess what? So are you. Despite everything that life has done to try and tear you down, despite the setbacks, the challenges, the doubts, you're still standing. But I have to be real with you guys. Just standing is not enough. Just surviving is not enough. It's time to start thriving. Every one of you in this room has a calling. You are put here on earth uniquely to do one thing. And this weekend is the time to get really clear on that. You guys with me? Now, I want to do a little experiment real quick. Can I have everyone just close your eyes for me? I want to ask you something. And if you can agree with this, or if you're a yes, I just want you to put your hand up. How many of you have been in a situation where it felt like life was stacking the deck against you? Put your hands up. Maybe you're in one right now. Maybe it's financial, health-related, business, or spiritual. Maybe you even feel like you're fighting a battle that's not even yours, a battle you didn't even start. I just want you to know that I see you and that I've been there before. You guys can put your hands down, and I appreciate your vulnerability. You can open your eyes. We're here to be real. We're here to do some breakthroughs, and as you guys saw, 2024, sort of crazy year, to say the least. Okay, I call it the battle-tested year. Okay, this is the year that I went to war. I got tested to my very core, and there was moments that I had to either make it or break it. Okay, but what I want to share with you guys today is the battles that I went through and the lessons I learned through those battles. So I want to start by taking you guys back to the day that changed everything for me. I remember it so clearly. I'm in my car, just got done training with Randy, and I'm driving to the office. And all of a sudden, I look down and my phone starts going off like crazy. Notification after notification, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. Then I get a text from Jonathan Frank, and I open it up, and there's a link to an article, the article. As I'm driving, I start reading it, and my heart drops. I couldn't believe what I was reading. How could they publish this? How could anyone believe her? Every possible negative thought flooded through my mind as I'm reading this article. You guys ever have one of those moments where it feels like the floor just fell out from underneath you? That's what this was. It was such a big deal. There was no solutions at the time. There's nothing to think about how I could fix this. No amount of business seminars was going to solve this for me. My thoughts started spiraling immediately on how is this going to impact my family? How is this going to impact my business? How is this going to impact my kids? What if people start targeting them as a result of this? And lastly, how am I supposed to show up as a leader for everyone in my life while the whole world hates me? Every doubtful question was popping up in my head. So as I'm thinking of this, and as I'm driving to the office, I immediately call my wife. And I start telling her what happened. So I tell her about the article. She gets the kids from school. She goes to meet me at the office. Meanwhile, while all this is happening, Jody is on a plane heading to Phoenix because he's supposed to be teaching a seminar at our school for 2 days, and he's literally landing into a shit show. So Jody's on his way. I text him to come to the office as well. He read the article on the plane. When I get to the office, Crystal and Jody show up a little bit after, and we sit in the conference room with Kelly, and we watch the video. There's silence. We couldn't believe what we were hearing when we watched that video. I remember my wife and I got up, we went into my office, we just held each other, and we cried. We started thinking about all the worst case scenarios. We started thinking about the threats that had already started coming in towards me and my family. People wishing harm to me is fine, wishing harm to my kids, that was tough to deal with. And we couldn't help but think the whole world around us was coming crashing down. Felt like we had no control over anything. And then that's when my phone rings. Taylor Welch calls me. Some of you guys remember Taylor from last year. Taylor was a great keynote speaker at our event last year. He's a good friend. He's one of the people that I respect deeply. He's one of the wisest people that I've ever met. And if you heard him speak last year, I'm sure you got a glimpse of that. So I think I see this phone lighting up with Taylor's face on it, and I'm like, Taylor will know exactly what to do. He's the smartest person I know. He's going to have some sort of solution for this. So I tell him everything. I tell him what happened, expecting him to have the perfect answer for what I was going through. And Taylor's first focus, being the family guy that he is, was on my family and my family's safety. He goes, Adam, he's like, got to fly Crystal and the kids out to Nashville. They'll stay with me and my wife. We'll make sure that they're safe. And then you can focus on handling all of this. Now, if you have met my wife, she's stubborn and Hispanic, and she was not going to be leaving her man in the middle of this giant thing that was beginning to unfold. So I'm on the phone with Taylor, and he asks next if he could pray with me. Now, I want to be real with you. I did not want prayer at that moment. I wanted a solution. I wanted something to fix the situation because I felt hopeless. And as he eloquently delivers like one of the most heartfelt prayers I've ever heard in my life, I was just thinking about holding back tears the whole time while I was on the phone. And if my thought was, if the smartest person I know doesn't have a solution for this, what hope is there? And right before Taylor hung up, though, he dropped some gold. He said something to me that I've been thinking about ever since. He said something that instantly shifted everything for me. The size of the problem in front of you is directly proportional to the size of the calling God has for you. Like one more time, the size of the problem in front of you is directly proportional to the size of the calling that God has for you. In other words, the size of your problem shows the size of your purpose. The 35-year-old guy that lives with his parents in their basement playing Call of Duty all day, that guy has no problems because there's no high calling for that guy. He doesn't have to deal with it. His biggest problem is that we're out of Doritos. God isn't putting problems in front of people that don't have big callings. So when we have problems that we face, we have to remember that there's a reason that we're facing those problems. It's because there's a purpose for us. The storms you're facing in life and in your business or in your finances, whatever area of your life, you're facing them because going through the storm is what's going to give you the tools that you need to fulfill that calling in your life. The secret is in the storm, so we need to stop running from it. We've all seen that meme online with the buffalo. Have you guys seen that? The buffalo into the storm? Okay, and one of the things I kept thinking about during this experience was why the buffaloes walk through the storm instead of run away from the storm. Cows, if you don't know this, when there's a storm, cows run away from the storm. Hence the term cowards. I just made that up. I don't know if that's true, but it sounded right in the moment. Okay, but the buffalo, they go through the storm because they know they're going to get through it faster, right? So in this moment, I felt like I was being thrown into this fire. And while Taylor's words were great, I don't think they hit home directly in that moment. Because it's like, hey, that sounds awesome, but you didn't just get like accused of covering up a kid's murder, right? But I thought about them daily since hearing him say those. And looking back at everything that this article has brought on me, I can't help but to be grateful. Yeah, grateful. I know it sounds insane. I'm grateful because when I was thrown into the fire, it changed me. The Adam that was around before that article did not have the wisdom, did not have the patience and the emotional intelligence that I was able to develop through this fire to be able to better fulfill my purpose in life. There were skills and tools that I would not have picked up if I didn't have to go through 2024. What I found out is greatness is forged in the fire. Okay, and when we run from the fire, we can't forge that greatness. We're not able to build those skills. We're not able to acquire the tools that we need. And every single one of us is going to face moments that feel like they're going to break us. But it's in those moments that you guys need to stay, because that's where you're going to be refined. And some of us may be going through this right now, but I want to tell you a story about my youngest son, Miles. It's not actually him. That's an AI generation of Miles. Miles, when he was 5, started taking swim lessons. And I hadn't been able to go watch him swim for the first few weeks because his lessons were always during the day, and it was when I was at the office and when I was working. So I missed the first few weeks of his swim classes, but I finally got to go watch him. At the end of the lesson, the coach gets out of the swimming pool with Miles, and I'm thinking, all right, they're done. We're going to go home, get the boys ready, get them in their dry clothes. When all of a sudden, the coach picks up Miles and throws him headfirst into the pool. My first thought is like, oh, this coach wants to throw hands right now. I just threw my kid headfirst in the pool, and my immediate reaction was like panic. I'm like, he's 5. Like last time I saw him, like he had like the floaties on and was like holding on to the edge of the pool for dear life, right? But what happened next was incredible. Miles goes underneath and his little tiny head pops up out of the water. He calmly turns out of the water, floats on his back, and he cracks a smile. The coach knew something that I didn't. She knew that in order for Miles to be ready to be able to save his own life with swimming, she had to put him in an emergency simulation. Okay, in other words, she had to throw him in the fire. The only way he could be prepared for the deep end was by being thrown into it. Okay, and what happens is with a lot of us is that when we get thrown into the deep end, we start flailing our arms. We start kicking all over the place. We start panicking. Most people panic when they get thrown into that deep end, and they let their negative thoughts start to spiral as a result. And then what happens is, in reality, they're drowning in their own mind. They're drowning in the negativity that's flooding into their mind in those moments of panic. But here's something really powerful I learned from this. The true measure of a great leader is how quickly can they go from panic to peace. Anybody can be a great leader when everything is going right. When all the stars are aligned and the money's coming into your business and there's no stress in your life, anyone can look like a great leader. But what I found through this experience is, for me, great leaders are the ones that in those moments of chaos, in those moments of panic, they're able to keep calm. They're able to be logical in their thoughts still. So I want to ask you guys, when the sky is falling down, how fast can you regain control? When everything around you is falling apart, how quickly can you go from panic to peace? And to be honest with you guys, this is a constant battle. This isn't one thing that when you get thrown in the fire, you figure out how to find peace, and then you never have to do it again because you're just always zen and you're always peaceful. It's going to happen over and over again with every challenge you face, with every fire that you're thrown into. But these are the types of battles that are going to do one of two things. It's either going to shape your life for the better, or it's going to shape your life for the worse, and that outcome is completely up to you. Okay, it's not up to the circumstances that are around us. A lot of us, when we're into these fires, we just start thinking about everything that's happening around us instead of thinking intrinsically about, well, how can I respond to this moment? How can I react in the right way to still stand up as a leader? So these are the battles when we have the right action that help to define our legacy. These are the moments that help to define how people remember us as a human being. Would you guys agree? So I want to go through the 3 battles that I faced during this, because I know that these are battles that you guys can resonate with as well. And I know that many of you guys, if you're not facing these now, you have faced them in your life. If you haven't faced them yet, they're coming. They come for everyone. First battle is the generational battle. Some of you in this room are fighting battles that you didn't even start. You didn't ask for them, but they were handed down to you. And these are what we call the generational battles. They're patterns, habits, and traumas that get passed down from one generation to the next. So maybe you're fighting an addiction, or maybe you're fighting financial struggles, or poverty, or insecurity. Maybe it's anger or fear. Whatever it is, these are some battles that started long before you, but it doesn't mean that these battles have to continue with you. Would we agree? For me, in the Kifer family, it was a cycle of being broke. The one thing that Kifers were always good at is they were good at making money. The one thing they were terrible at is keeping money once they made it. I had a great-grandfather that was a baseball player. He was a pitcher. He actually pitched against Babe Ruth in the minor leagues. He was on the Cardinals. He had no money left after his playing days. My dad had a massively successful martial arts school, one of the largest martial arts schools in the Midwest. But he spent all of his money trying to prove to other people that he was wealthy, and then ended up going bankrupt as a result. So I saw this cycle constantly in my family of get money, lose money, get money, lose money. And I wasn't gonna live my life trying to prove to other people that didn't matter that I have money or that I was successful. And I wanted to make the decision that that cycle would stop with me, because I don't want that to get passed on to my kids, okay? So my question for you is, what are the generational battles that you are fighting? What are the things that have been passed down to you that you've inherited that you keep having to face on a daily basis? What did your parents pass on to you that you're still holding on to right now? Here's the thing, guys. You and you alone have the power to break this cycle. One of the things I realized in this, even though I had a lot of great people around me while I was going through this battle, one of the things I realized was no one was coming to save me. I had the best attorneys. I had the best PR person. I had an amazing team around me, but they couldn't save me from this. This was something that I had to make the decision to do myself, and I had to take action on myself. So whatever problems you're facing, what I want you guys to realize is no one's coming to save you. It's not like the superhero movie, okay? It's reliant on you and what action you're gonna take. And the moment that you guys decide that this cycle ends with me, that's the moment that you gain power over your legacy. Okay, the problem is a lot of us use this as an excuse for why we are where we are and why we're not stepping further down the future. Okay, it has to end with you, but you have to be the one to make that decision. Can I have everyone stand up for a moment? I know it feels like church. Stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. All right, what I want you to do is close your eyes for me. I just want you guys to take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, and I just want you to try and relax yourself. Calm your heart right down. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And all I want you to do is just calm yourself and embrace the silence for a moment. I want you to think about the generational battles that you're facing right now. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's a lack of confidence that's been passed down. Unspoken, but real. And I want you to think about what that battle is. Now, what you're gonna do next is extremely important because it's time to make a decision. Are you ready to step up and be the cycle breaker? Say it to yourself. I will be the cycle breaker in my family. My parents' problems will not continue with me. My grandparents' problems will not continue with me. I'm going to be the one that sets a new course for future generations. Raise your hand back up if you guys are willing to make that promise to yourself today. To make that promise that today is the day that I create a better future for myself and my family. And I want you to stand with this moment for a second, and I want you to remember this moment, because years from now, you're gonna be able to look back at this moment as a turning point for your life. You guys can put your hands down, open your eyes, and take a seat. We all need a moment in our life when we decide to take a stand and we decide to change the decision-making that's been running through generations of people before us. And for some of us in the martial arts, this generational stuff gets passed down from our instructors. Would we agree with that? Yes, sir. And sometimes we keep doing things because our instructor did it that way, or they imposed their thoughts on us or their beliefs on us. But I want you guys to remember that moment right now that you guys stood up today and you guys made that decision. Now there's a second battle that I realized was a giant battle that just was amplified by the situation, but it's something that people face every single day, and that's the battle of opinions. Now, in my opinion, this is another battle that maybe isn't even yours, that somehow got handed to you, but the problem is that you unknowingly accepted it. These are the battles of other people's opinions and other people's limitations and the labels that they try and put on you. People are going to talk. People are going to form opinions about you. They're going to spread rumors about you. They're going to say untrue things about you. But here's the thing, what I need you guys to understand, and something that was told to me during this entire situation that I had never realized before. Your reputation and your character are two separate things. My whole life, they had been one and the same. I always knew I had good character. I always knew that I did my best to try and do the right thing and help other people. And my reputation was always one and the same with that, until it wasn't. Okay, and we're going to talk about how you guys can sort of help fight this battle of reputation versus character. Okay, the one thing that you guys need to understand is with this, we can only control one of these two things. We can't control both of them. We can try and control both of them sometimes, but we think about your reputation is what other people are saying about you. It's how the world perceives you, and the truth is you have very little control over that. It's other people's actions. That's out of your power. We can do everything we can to post our perfect life on social media and what we want people to think about us, but at the end of the day, reputation is outside of your control. Okay? People will spread rumors, they'll leave you one-star reviews, they'll say bad things about you, and sometimes we can curb a few of those things, but we can't stop it completely. But your character is how you show up when no one is watching. It's how you show up every day. It's how you live out your values in life. It's how you treat people. It's how you conduct yourself in the face of adversity. And your character is something that every one of us has control over. I'll be honest, seeing some of those comments online, there was a lot of times I picked up my phone and started typing something out as a response, and then I deleted it afterwards. Because I had to make a decision, am I going to sacrifice my character to defend my reputation? Or am I just going to keep upholding my character because I know who I am at my core? It's tempting to defend your reputation. It's tempting to sacrifice your character for your reputation because you want people to see you a certain way. But when we do that, we start to lose pieces of our character in the process. Okay? It pains me when I see someone get wronged by another person, and the first thing they do is they go to social media to try and get everyone on their side. Because they think in their head that if I have enough people agree with me, I'm right. Okay, but the problem is you're trading your character for being perceived as being right. When that article came out, my reputation took a hit. You guys saw a lot of the comments, and I just want to put it out there so everyone in this room knows I do not suck dick, no matter what that person says. Okay, I just want to make sure that's out there, all right? Johnny's like, I don't know. And here's the thing, guys. It would have been easy during this whole process to go and fight back. It would have been easy to call out the other leaders in the industry that were using this to try and steal clients from our company. And a lot of you guys in this room sent me screenshots of them shit talking. It would have been easy to put those on the screen on this next slide, but I didn't. It would have been entertaining, but I don't want to sacrifice my character to do that. But what happens is when you do that, you stoop down to their level. You're bringing yourself down to where they live, okay? And that does no good or justice for you. So I had to make the decision that my character wasn't going to be shaken. I had to be like Superman and have those opinions be like bullets bouncing off my chest. Still hurt, okay? Didn't mean it didn't hurt, but I had to make sure that character rose above in the end. Because at the end of the day, it's how I show up for myself, it's how I show up for my family, it's how I show up for my employees. Okay, and that decision isn't always easy, but it's important. So my challenge for you is, are you more focused on building your character or your reputation? Because a lot of us as business owners focus so much on our reputation that our character gets neglected. I know everyone in this room can think of another martial arts school owner, don't point to them, that teaches character development at their school, but when you talk to the person behind the scenes, they don't actually show any of the character that they teach. So what I would like to really encourage everyone in this room to do is be more focused on building your character, because when you build your character, the reputation will automatically start to improve. In the middle of all of this, I didn't see how my reputation would get better. I just had to trust that if I focused and continued to focus on my character, that people would see who I really was as a person. And people would understand that whatever Ashley said about me was incorrect. They were lies, they were rumors, that she was doing it for personal gain. I had to believe in that. But here's the great thing, when you have good character, it's easier to put faith in your character. It's easier to stand up for that character and know in the end it's gonna come right. And guys, believe me, I am not a perfect person. I have tons of flaws. Ask my wife, she has a list on her phone. She doesn't, I'm kidding, she's awesome. But I have a ton of flaws. I do things wrong all the time. I make mistakes all the time, okay? But I know the character at the core of it is good, and the character is true, and the character is where it needs to be. Okay, you don't have to be a perfect person, none of us are. Okay, but if we're constantly working on improving our character, we're getting better every single day, yes? Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is probably the hardest battle, which is what I call the war within. This is the battle between your default mind and what I call your victory mindset. Now, your default mind, that's the part of you that's wired for survival. That's the part of you that wants to stay comfortable and wants to avoid risk. It's the part of you that wants to retreat as soon as things start to get difficult. When you have a big project in front of you and you know you have to make progress on it and you say, I'll do that tomorrow, that's your default brain telling you that you should do that tomorrow. It's also the part of your brain that when you're getting ready to try something new or tackle something big that says you're not good enough, why bother? It's just gonna turn out the same way it did last time. Instead, just keep doing what you've been doing, that's easier. The default mind essentially keeps you stuck, okay? It keeps you in patterns of fear, it keeps you in patterns of doubt and insecurity. And here's the thing, most people, unfortunately, live their entire life in default mode. They got default settings turned on all the time. One of the reasons, I'm from Chicago, one of the reasons I don't like going back to Chicago is because everyone I knew from Chicago is in default mode still. They've done nothing with their life. They've done nothing to better themselves over time. They're just stuck. And I don't like being around people that are stuck and not willing to work on themselves or not willing to grow. And the good thing is, if you're in this room, it shows that you are not in your default settings. Because you are here to grow, you are here to get better. Okay, you're here to get that victory mindset and let that victory mindset stand out. Okay, those people stuck in default mode, they never push themselves because it's always too risky. What if they fail? We teach our students that failures are part of life, yes? Failures are part of your journey to black belts. Failure is a part of the formula to success. But what are we afraid to fail at right now that's stopping us from stepping forward? What is the thing in our business that we haven't done yet or implemented yet because we're afraid of the what-if outcome attached to it? If you have something that you're thinking of, write it down. Put it on the paper. So that way you're aware of it and you can now start to gain power over it and start gaining control over it. Okay, but those people in those default mind, their entire life results in a bunch of what-ifs. Now, the victory mindset, that's the part of you that's wired for growth. It's wired for success. It's wired for risk, and it's also wired for greatness. It's a part of you that believes that you were made for more. It's a part of you that pushes through when things get uncomfortable. There's a balance, though, that has to happen where our victory mindset becomes louder than our default mindset. Where that victory voice in your head becomes louder than the voice of doubt and the voice of fear. It has to override it. Because if you're not careful, your default mind will win. And you're just gonna feel stuck in the same place year after year after year. And you're gonna stop stepping forward and you're just gonna keep playing small because it's comfortable. There's no growth that happens being comfortable. Okay, so I'm hoping that this weekend, you guys get pushed outside of that comfort zone, that you listen to each speaker with an open mind, even if they're doing something different than the way you do it, which a lot of the times they will be. Okay, I want you guys to approach everything with an open mind this weekend so that we can gradually start stepping and continue stepping to that victory mindset. And the one thing I want you guys to understand is that this is a battle that I fought constantly, not only this year, but my entire life. Default versus victory mindset is like an ongoing battle that has happened since I was at least a teenager. That's when I remember it started, right? And there were days in 2024 where that default mindset kicked in and it was like, Adam, just sell everything, give up, get out of this, move out of Arizona. Why do you subject yourself to this? The other thing I want to point out is you have to have the right people around you, because when you have the default mindset, you need people with the victory mindset to override that default mindset. There was one day during all of this, I'm sure I went through like the Reddit rabbit hole, which I know some of you guys went through the Reddit rabbit hole and were like, holy shit, Adam, how are you still alive? But there was one day I remember I went through the Reddit rabbit hole, and I get home and I tell Crystal, I go, I'm done. Like, let's just sell it all. Let's move. Let's get out of here. Like, we don't need to subject our kids to this. We don't need to do this. Like, we can do the agency and the mastermind from anywhere. We'll figure out what to do with the school. The victory mindset of Crystal was like, shut up. She's like, we're not doing that. She's like, it's not going to happen. She's like, you spend so much time building all of this, and she's like, you can't quit now. Okay, that's why we need the right people around us with that mindset. Okay, because when you're talking bullshit, they will slap you in the face and like reset your brain to get that victory mindset back in there. Okay, we have to also think, do we have people in our circle that are just default mindset constantly? When we're in the victory mindset, they're like, oh, you should be more careful. Like, you should play it safer. Don't do that, because what if you fail? Those people are cancer. You have to get those people out of your life. There's no fixing them, guys. It's not your job or responsibility to fix them. A lot of times as martial arts school owners, we hire a student that we've been training for a long time because we have some loyalty to them, and they have that default mindset, and we're like, well, we can fix them. Well, while you're trying to fix them, that cancer is spreading through the rest of your team. And then all of a sudden, now you have a whole team that needs to be fixed, when you could have just cut off the cancer and been good to go after that. We can't let other people's default mindsets infect our brains. Surround yourselves with the people that have that victory mindset. Luckily, with my wife saying that, it was a good reminder of the calling on my life. It was a good reminder that God has something planned for me that's bigger than what I could see in that moment. And I had to push through that fear and doubt, but I needed the help of other people to do it. The good news is, though, you guys can reprogram your mind. Because obviously I was sinking far into that default mindset that day. You can reprogram it, but the shift has to have intention. It's not going to happen on its own. You have to make that decision that, hey, I am not going to be okay thinking this way continuously. I need to make some changes in my life. I need to make some changes with the people around me. I need to make some changes in the way that I think to be able to change this pattern, to change this habit. You have to consistently choose discomfort over comfort. Believe me, when you start making money, when you start becoming successful, it is so easy to choose comfort, because you want to tell yourself that you earned it and you deserve it. There's a lot of people I've seen build up million-dollar businesses, billion-dollar businesses that are in different masterminds I'm with, and then I just see their entire personal life crumble afterwards, and they're not happy. They go into deep depression. I was in a room for a mastermind, and the guy speaking on stage was a room of all men that were business owners. He had everyone close their eyes and raise their hand if they'd ever thought about committing suicide. 85% of the room raised their hand. And these are all successful business owners. Okay, and the problem is when we start to get comfortable, that's when the default mind kicks in, and it just starts digging us a deeper, deeper, deeper hole until that default mindset turns to depression, and it turns to anxiety. Okay, the way that we get out of that is we put ourselves in uncomfortable situations. Okay, we build back that mental strength and that mental toughness to dig out of that hole and step forward. But just think about how much having the wrong people around you will amplify what you're already fighting against. Again, that's why it's so important. You got to find your crew. You got to find your team that's going to push you to do the uncomfortable, to push you past the familiar and step into the unknown. Now, I talked about these 3 battles, and I want to get tactical with you guys, because now that you understand the battles, I want to teach you the lessons that I learned from these battles. So if you're facing any of these, you actually have some action steps that you can take to win these battles and to start changing how the war is playing out. Sound good? Okay. So how to win the generational battle. One of the most powerful ways to break these generational cycles is building strong, intentional daily routines. Because here's the thing, it's not enough just to stop a bad habit. You have to replace that habit with something better, because that's when real change starts to happen. We need to replace broken habits with breakthrough habits. The habits that are pulling us away from our goals, away from our calling, away from our dreams are not doing any service to us. And just trying to stop those habits gives us idle hands and idle minds. So we need to find something better, more powerful, more in line with our vision and our goals for ourselves that's going to take us to where we need to go. For me, this all starts with what I call the monster morning. Every morning, I wake up early, usually around 4 or 4:30. I know it sounds crazy. I didn't start that way. I was a martial arts instructor like all of you, where I was going to bed at 11:30, waking up at like 11 to start my day. Over time, though, I built it to where I'm now up at 4 or 4:30. I go in my backyard. There's something about waking up with the stars still out that is like magical for me. I don't know what it is. It just puts me at peace as soon as I step outside. Grab my Bible, grab my iPad, I grab my iced coffee, and I go sit outside. And I just reflect to start my day. I reflect on the previous day and think about, what did I do right? What decisions could I have made that were better for the day? Did I treat everyone the way I wanted to be, the way I would want to be treated? Or was there someone that I didn't treat well that I have to make sure that I give an apology for today or have a conversation with today? Okay, and then I just start praying. One of the things that I've realized is that your words are prophetic. The words that we say out loud are prophetic. It's like kids. We teach kids to do positive affirmations, right? Teach them to say, I'm strong, I'm brave, I can do anything, I never quit. A lot of our student creeds are pretty much positive affirmations. Those words have meaning when we say it. So my challenge to you guys is, don't ever let yourself talk down about yourself. Because you do it enough, you start to believe it. So in the morning when I pray, that's sort of my way of making my words prophetic. Because I ask God to help me lead with love every day. I ask him to help me speak directly to people's hearts. I ask him to protect my family. And I ask him to help me positively influence others. Because I want to put that out to the world every single day so that I can have a bigger impact on the people that are in my circle, on the people that I work with, on the students and the parents at my school. And I know that if I continue to talk it every day, it's going to happen. But the reverse is also true. If I'm always having negative thoughts in my head saying I'm not good enough, I can't do it, it's too hard. If I start saying that stuff out loud, like my life stinks, like everything's going wrong, it's not going to get better. That's where that reprogramming of our brain comes in that we talked about earlier. Then after I do my prayer, I go through my daily devotion. And my goal with that is I just want to align my mind and my spirit for the day. I want to make sure they're on the same page moving forward. And then I go to make my body physically suffer. Okay? I go to work out. I don't feel like working out 50% of the time. But I go to the gym anyway, because I know if I'm there, I'm going to do something. Okay? Or I go with Coach Randy. And when you go there, the intention should be, yes, I want to get healthier. Yes, I want to get stronger. Yes, I want this to help me be a better martial artist. But also, there should be some mental toughness aspect of it. Randy does a great job of almost making me puke at least twice a month. As soon as I'll be like hitting pads at the end, and he'll be like drilling me nonstop, and then we'll hear the, and he's like, oh, it's coming. He's like, keep going, keep going. Like, it's like a challenge for him now. But every single time that happens, I have two decisions, right? I could puke, I could give up, and I could go home, or I just power through, and if I puke, Randy's in trouble. But I get through it, right? I think a lot of us, even in our workout settings, we get way too comfortable because we rely on how good we used to be. Man, you should have seen me at the 1976 Battle of Atlanta. There's one specific guy I'm talking about that posted that on Facebook, and it still like sits with me. It's like a picture of him doing a split kick in like black and white. He's like 1976 Battle of Atlanta champion. I'm like, what are you doing now, bro? So I go to do my workout because I want to get that suffering in. I want to build my mental toughness. And the entire reason for my monster morning, and I think this would be good for everyone, is to align your mind and your body and your spirit before you start the day. I also have a thing about working out in the mornings. Joe Rogan talks about this all the time. Like, if I go through the hardest part of my day as soon as I wake up, whatever happens to me the rest of the day seems easy at that point. I know it's not going to make me puke on Randy, right? I know it's not going to be as difficult what I just put myself through. Okay, so what I want to help you guys do is be intentional with your suffering. It's a lot better if we can choose our suffering than if we just get suffering thrust upon us, right? Okay, so we want to be intentional with that in the morning. And here's the thing that most people fail to understand with this morning routine is morning routines are pretty easy when life is good. When you have good energy when you wake up in the morning, you got a full night's rest, you didn't go out drinking the night before at the casino, like it's easy to get up and work out and do all of that stuff. But when shit is hitting the fan and the world is collapsing around you, that is actually the most important time to make sure that we're staying up with these healthy habits. Like me, I'm a foodie. We went to Bourbon and Bones last night, and it was the best. If you guys have a chance to go there in Gilbert, like, best steak you'll ever eat. I'm a foodie, so when I get in stressful situations, I used to just be like, well, I'm just gonna eat because I'll feel better. Before that, when I had no money discipline, I was like, well, I'm just gonna go shopping because then I'll feel better. I know that makes me sound like a bitch, guys. It's cool. But I would always default to something to try and get me to feel better. And I would start to avoid my habits as a result, and I would be stuck in that chaos longer as a result. So the days that you don't feel like it are the days that's most important to make sure that you continue with that morning routine. The days that you wake up late, find a way to get that routine in. Even if you have to do it in the afternoon, get that routine in. You guys have ever read the book Living with a Seal by Jesse Itzler? That book has so many good stories in it, first of all, super entertaining. But one of the things I love about that is David Goggins is with him everywhere he goes for 30 days. And Jesse will be in his suit, in his office, and David will be like 100 burpees. And he's like, I didn't bring workout clothes, dude. He's like, I didn't ask if you brought workout clothes. I said 100 burpees. And Jesse's in his suit doing 100 burpees in his office, then having to go meet with like these people that he's trying to pitch to, and he's got like armpit sweat hanging down, he's smelly, he's got sweat dripping down his face while he's in a business meeting trying to pitch these people. But that shows the importance that David Goggins puts on getting in your routine, getting in your habits. Because all of us would have made the excuse to be like, I'm in a suit, I'm not working out, me included, okay? We need to make sure that in the chaos and in the uncertainty that we stay true to that routine no matter what. Get an accountability partner. Get someone to help you with it. Okay, get someone to remind you, hey, you at the gym today? Hey, did you do your reading today? Hey, how'd you do with your morning routine? There's someone else in this room that needs accountability just like you, and your goal this weekend is to find that person, exchange phone numbers, and find an accountability partner where you guys will be like, hey, am I okay to call you out on your shit and you not get all up in your feelings as a result? Yes, awesome. And then guess what? They don't do the morning routine, you call them out on their shit. They get up in their feelings, you call them out on getting up on their feelings. That's what an accountability partner does. Okay? When everything feels like it's falling apart, we have to stay true to that habit. We have to have some sort of routine and structure when everything else feels like it's going downhill, because otherwise it's just more chaos that's going to ensue. And when you guys create new habits like these strong morning routines, you're not just setting the tone for the day, you're breaking old patterns that held you back. You're consciously choosing to replace the broken habits with those breakthrough habits. Okay, so right now I just want you guys to take a moment. You have your notebook in front of you, your paper. I want you to be intentional. What is one broken habit I need to replace? And then what is going to be the breakthrough habit that takes the place of that broken habit? So take a couple minutes and do that. Be brutally honest with yourself, guys. All right, this next one's fun. How to win the opinions battle. Opinions can be deadly if you let them. Okay, we've seen how other people's opinions have affected teen suicide rates, yes? They literally can be deadly if we let them. The words can eat away at your confidence. They can gnaw at your sense of self-worth. If you're not careful, those opinions can become your reality. But you have a choice. You either let those opinions drag you down and ruin your life, or you rise above them. Okay, and this reminds me of a story that I once heard from a pastor that was doing a sermon, and it's about a fighter pilot. There's this decorated, super accomplished fighter pilot, one of the most skilled fighter pilots in the country, and he gets this opportunity to fly a brand new fighter jet, like state of the art, can go supersonic speeds, has every bell and whistle possible, has the best weapons on the planet. And he has this great opportunity to go and fly this plane for the first time. So he's excited. This is a plane that, like, once you go up in the air, this will get you to a higher altitude faster than anything ever engineered before. It's the best of the best. So this pilot anxiously climbs in this jet. He ignites the engines, and he takes off, flying far above the clouds. Up above the clouds, it's quiet. It's peaceful. It's just this man, this amazing piece of technology, and his thoughts. Everything was going perfect until it wasn't. All of a sudden, the dashboard starts lighting up. All these red lights and alerts start going off while he's flying the plane. And remember, he's pretty high up in the air at this point. Something was insanely wrong with the plane, and he was confused. He's like, this is a brand new state-of-the-art fighter jet. What could be wrong with this? What could be causing so many alerts? And then he looked down and he saw it. Underneath the console, there was a rat. And the rat was chewing on a red wire. Now, here's the problem. This red wire connected the jet's steering to the jet's engines, meaning if the rat chews through this wire, this plane is crashing. It's going down. So the pilot's instinct was immediately to descend and land the plane and get back on the ground. But here's the thing. He had a realization as he was thinking about this, that this is a rat. This is a creature of the ground. This isn't something that's made for high altitudes. So what does he do? He decides, instead of descending and landing the plane and doing an emergency landing, he makes the bold decision to push the jet to climb higher in altitude and go up as high as he can, hoping that it's high enough to stop the rat from chewing on the wires. And then he reaches an altitude where he feels like there's no way the rat could survive at this altitude. And sure enough, he sees the red wire stop moving underneath the control panel. When the pilot eventually landed, the mechanic goes in there, finds a dead rat. So why am I telling you guys this story? Well, with the opinions of other people, that's the rat. It is trying to gnaw at your confidence, it's trying to gnaw at your self-worth. And if you let it gnaw long enough, you're going to crash. But the answer for you guys is you got to climb higher. Because when you continue to ascend and you continue to climb, a couple things happen. Number one, those voices get a lot quieter. Because those people giving you those opinions were not made to live at your altitude. They were not made to live where you're going. Now, we all have the option that we can descend and we can go down to their level. We can go down and be negative with them. We can go and argue with them. Okay, but descending does no good. Those voices are just as loud down there. Why would I want to go down to where they're living? Why would I want to live with the rats? Instead, we need to make the decision to keep climbing higher above the noise and above the doubts. Because again, those opinions don't belong at that altitude. Your job in this situation is to stay focused on your character, your purpose, and your vision. The higher you go, the less likely those voices can reach you. Does it mean those voices stop? We still get emails calling me a murderer. We still get emails saying that our company promotes what happened. We still get emails accusing me of training the kid in martial arts that killed this other teenager. We still get those. But the problem is when I'm focused internally on my character and my vision and where I'm going to lead the company, they don't have the same impact anymore. Yeah, the problem is when we dwell on those opinions and we let them have control and power over our thoughts. That's when we start to spiral, and that's when we want to descend naturally. Okay, the very last one is the war within. How do we win the war within? The war between those two voices, the default and the victory mindset. So for me, there's three things that we're gonna cover on this real quick. Number one is the moment you stop feeding your mind and training your mind, you are handing over power. You're handing over power to the world to dictate your thoughts, actions, and potential. You have to keep feeding your mind. And here's the thing, when you do this, it's not just a passive surrender. It's giving control of your future to anything or anyone that's ready to take it. You have to strengthen your mind daily because otherwise you're gonna risk losing in life. So one of the first things I want you guys to really focus on is how am I constantly feeding myself to gain wisdom and to gain knowledge? I read and apply at least 2 to 3 books a month. It's not a crazy amount, but my goal isn't just to read, it's to take things from those books and apply them into my life. I know people that have read way more than 2 to 3 books a month and have not applied any of it. Because I see them in the same place year after year. Reading alone isn't enough. It's what are we going to take away? And here's the thing, guys. I'm going to give you guys permission to do something. If you start reading a book and you hate it, you have permission to stop reading the book and go find one that you like and find one that aligns with you. Because the problem with a lot of us is we start a book, we don't like it or it's not resonating with us, and then we try and force ourselves to finish it, and then all of a sudden we're like, screw this, I hate reading, it sucks. Can we identify with that a little bit? You have permission to stop reading the book and toss it to the side and find a better book that resonates with you. If you're not currently a reader, you can listen to audiobooks, podcasts, okay? But start with at least 15 minutes a day. Make that your goal. Okay, I'm gonna find quiet time to sit down for 15 minutes a day and do this. Maybe it's your drive to the school, maybe it's your drive back from the school. But find time to dedicate to this at least 15 minutes a day. It will grow from there. Okay, I'm about 2 hours a day that I spend either listening to coaching calls that Taylor does or listening to audiobooks in the car. And then what I do for audiobooks, if you guys listen to it, if there's a really good part, just screenshot it because it has a timestamp on there and you can go back and read that part of the actual book and spend more time focusing on what stands out to you. And here's a cool thing that I realized with this. By doing this for so many years, in the middle of 2024, when all this stuff was going down, the number of times that I heard Tim Grover's voice pop in my head from either listening to his audiobook or reading his book, same thing with John Maxwell. The number of times I doubted my leadership ability during this and then would get a reference to a John Maxwell book in my head about leadership and about how to show up in this moment and about how I can't let my personal feelings get in the way of how I lead my business and how I lead my people. None of that would have happened if I didn't dedicate time to read and to gain more knowledge and to gain more wisdom. Okay? Instead, what would have happened is that voice of fear and doubt would have crept in instead. And I probably wouldn't have made it through. That's how we battle that voice, that default voice, is by constantly feeding our mind. So that way, the right voice is popping in our head instead of the one that's trying to pull us back. Second thing I would tell you is whenever you see someone's life that you want to aspire to be like, whether it's because of their values, whether it's because of their wisdom, maybe it's their success, do everything you can to shortcut your success by following that person. Listen to their podcasts, read their posts on social media, buy their book, get in a room with them. Do whatever you need to shortcut your success. A lot of us are introverts in this room, and instead of going to ask the question to the person that we want to ask, we convince ourselves to just stay in our chair because we're comfortable there. And how much growth is going to come from that chair? Yeah, we need to get outside our comfort zones. There's a ton of amazing people in this room, like amazing human beings. This weekend, make the decision to go have some conversations. Talk to some people. Talk to the speakers after they get off the stage. Talk to us in the breaks. Ask any questions you want, okay? That's what we're here for. We have a lot of school owners in this room that are here because they want to learn, but they also love helping other school owners. They love sharing ideas, right? Use that to your advantage. Okay, next. Second key to winning your war within, we talked about this a little earlier, so I'm not going to touch on it too long, is physical discomfort. Okay, we said it before. Physical discomfort teaches you how to push past the point of where you normally quit. Okay, it's in those moments when you're tired, thirsty, and you want to give up, that something else kicks in that you can use in every single challenge you face in life. Okay, there's something about pushing ourselves to the point of breaking physically and then pushing us past that point, not to injury, but mentally breaking, pushing us past that point where later in life we get this challenge that comes up and our first thought is, well, I got through that, I can get through this. I made it through that, I can make it through this. Okay, it's why some of the most successful people have like the most horrific stories of what they've had to go through in their life. And the thing is, those stories of what they had to go through in their life is what made them successful. Them learning how to live in that discomfort is what made them ascend above everyone else in the room. Embrace it. Embrace the discomfort. Okay? Make yourself physically uncomfortable intentionally. Okay, last thing I want to touch on is this. You need to have a clear vision for your life and your business. If you're in our mastermind, you've heard me talk a lot about having a vivid vision document. This is something Cameron Harold wrote a book about, and we just sort of applied to the martial arts. Like, I'm very clear on where my life is going to be in 3 years. I'm very clear on where my businesses are going to be in 3 years. Okay, I know it without a shadow of a doubt. And a lot of the times when I felt like quitting, I felt like giving up during all this, I would remember my vision. Okay, I'd remember my purpose. And that's what would give me the drive to continue pushing through. So if you've not done this before, this is what you do. Today's October 18th, 2024. You are going to write your vision as it is October 18th, 2027. So when you write it, it's not going to be, I will do this, I'm going to do this. You write it like this. We have 3 martial arts schools. They're each doing $75,000 a month. I'm profiting $20,000 from each martial arts school. I have an amazing team around me. We have a regional director now. We have a regional manager now. And because of that, I'm allowed to take more vacations with my family. I'm allowed to be home at 5:30 for dinner every night to spend that time with my family. And you start talking like it is 3 years into the future. Because when you start doing that, it starts to become reality. And you start to also find reasons of like, well, why am I not doing that currently? Why am I not pushing towards that right now? Great example of this is when I first did a vivid vision, I wrote in there that in 3 years, I will have a Relentless headquarters for our company. A week after I wrote the vivid vision, I was like, well, why don't we have a Relentless headquarters right now? Like, what's stopping me? A month later, we had a Relentless headquarters. Okay, those things you start to realize that, hey, there's certain things that I can just take action on now, and I've been putting off for what reason? So when we get clear on our vision, okay, it becomes your anchor. It becomes the thing that allows you to be steadfast in the face of adversity. Okay, it's so important for you guys to have this. It is your compass to success. When we don't have a vision, any decision we make becomes the right decision because we don't know where we're going. When you don't know where you're going, any path is the right path. When you have a vision, when you have core values, they become an anchor for all of your decision making. Because it's really easy. Does this decision align with my vision? If it's a no, then I don't do it. Does this decision align with my core values? If it's a no, I don't do it. Now decision making in my business and my life becomes a lot easier. Would you guys agree? Okay, in the toughest moments of your life, that vision is going to be your compass to be successful. How are we feeling right now? Good? Okay. I know some of you guys are like, I want tactical stuff. I'll get to the tactical stuff later today, promise. Totally promise. Okay, but I want to challenge you guys to change the way that you're thinking a little bit. Because I know a lot of times I've sat in these rooms and I start thinking to myself, mindset talk. I don't need a mindset talk. You know, in that moment, I'm probably the one person in the room that needs that mindset talk more than anybody when I say that. Because what's that speaking? It's my default mind. You don't need a mindset talk, dude. You're good. That's my default mind telling me to stay comfortable, to not challenge my thinking, to not challenge my thoughts, to not challenge the way I'm currently doing things now. I want you guys to know that every battle and every struggle that you guys are going through now, that you've been through, it is preparing you for something. It's prepared you for this moment to do something bigger now. Those generational battles that have tried to chain you down, you made the decision today to break those generational battles. Stay true to that decision. Okay, those opinions of other people that have tried to limit you, the people trying to put their limiting beliefs on you, you already know what to do. We climb higher. We go to a place where those opinions can't live, where those people can't survive, because they will start falling off. And the war within, you guys are winning it every day, one decision at a time. All of you have everything you need inside of you already to be successful. Okay, it's just making sure that we're taking it intentional, actionable steps every day. Because when we think about our actions, a lot of us try to change the action piece first. You have to change your belief first. Because when you change your belief, it changes your thoughts. When you change your thoughts, it changes your actions. So me just saying, oh, I'm going to do a morning routine, like that's my first step, it's wrong. What's the belief of why you need to do a morning routine? Because when you have that strong belief, all of a sudden your thoughts will start to change as a result of that. Okay, your excuses start to get quieter, and the reasons why start to become stronger. And then now all of a sudden our actions start to change. Okay, we start to become a better, a stronger, an untouchable and undefeatable human being. Thank you, guys.